The Fighting Illini wrap up their non-conference schedule with a 90-55 victory over Southern. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank y'all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Sports Network the #1 sports network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage each and every day. Sometimes twice in a day, especially on days like today when you have a live postgame. That's when you know you're going to see my face on YouTube or hear my voice on your favorite audio podcast platform. Today we discuss Illinois 90-55 victory over Southern. And quite honestly, I'm not sure what to take of this game. It's nice. The spread opened up at 29.5, and I think it ended up at 34.5. So you know what we like to say here, right? Good teams win, great teams cover, and for those of you who are keeping count, Illinois did cover the spread today. I believe they jumped up to KenPom 8 as of this recording. Again, I go live immediately after the game, so if I'm wrong by, let me know in the comment section whether I'm right or wrong. But for the most part, there's not much to talk about this game, so whatever you guys want to talk about in the comment section, I'm going to probably hit that up a little quicker today. So if you have questions for me, please let me know. I hope you guys all enjoyed your Christmas holiday. 90-55. This was a game that, quite honestly, should have finished 90-55. It was a game where Illinois, in a lot of ways, played sloppy in that first half, but at no point was this a game that was even in question. Right, even when people, especially in particular in the talk line at Discord, it's a running joke now that if you only paid attention to the Illinois game via that Discord and what people were saying, you'd be convinced we're the worst team in the country. And yet you look up at the box score and we're up 21. That was kind of the case today. We'll start with the good. And of course, the good has to be Keaton Wagler. I mean, I'm repeating myself at this point, but if he keeps putting on these sort of performances, what else can I do? Keaton today had 11 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds in 27 minutes. Shout out to Brad Underwood for only playing Keaton Wagler 27 minutes today. Now, granted, that still led the team, but 27 minutes, that's fine. We saw a lot of Brandon Lee. We saw a lot of Mihailo Petrović, and that's what makes me happy. Just let those guys play on the court. Let them iron their rust out. Does that make sense? No, I don't think that analogy made sense, but you know what I mean. And that's what happened today. Keaton, again, in 27 minutes, had 11, 10, and 7. David Mirkovic, who I thought he had a fantastic game today. Brad got caught a couple times on TV yelling at David, but I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just, I think that's just the way he coaches David. I think we just have to come to that realization. Today, David, in 21 minutes, had 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, and he had the highest plus minus on the team today, 32, and that doesn't surprise me at all. When I was watching this game, or as I was watching this game, to me, David just continued to make winning play after winning play. And so I saw it for the first time with you guys. The fact that he did have the highest plus minus on the team just does not surprise me. I think it was a very solid game. Again, in 21 minutes, that's all he got. If you average that out to, a 30-minute game, his box score probably would have looked nicer. But this is kind of what you want, right? I don't think anybody on the Illini necessarily broke a sweat even, and some of the guys that you wanted to get more run, they got some more run. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the second segment. But Andrei Stojakovic, in 23 minutes, he had 6 points, 3 rebounds. Not necessarily an Andrei Stojakovic game. But again, the whole point of this is, I don't know what the point of this is. Why I don't like buy games. Let me know in the chat if you like these buy games or not. This is why, I agree with Brad in the sense of scheduling as tough as possible, because I don't know what a game like this does to prepare you for the upcoming Big Ten schedule or March. Clearly, Southern had zero chance at winning this game. The only maybe remote chance that they had to win this game was if Michael Jacobs went off, who I talked about in my preview show. For those of you who watched it, he averages almost 21 points per game. Michael Jacobs today in 30 minutes shot 3 of 16. He had 11 points on 1 of 4 from the free throw land. If Michael Jacobs was going to have that kind of box score, then there was no chance that Southern was going to win. And even coming into that, you're talking about like a 1% chance, that Southern would come out with the victory. But as someone did mention to me before, this is also the lowest output that Southern has had all season long, the 55 points. So combined with the Missouri performance in the bragging rights game, and now 55, that's back-to-back really solid defensive performances. Now, I grant you, Southern stinks, and Southern, you're not going to hang your hat on something against Southern, but Missouri is a very offensively efficient team. They are a top 30 offense. So, I wouldn't say it's anything necessarily just to disregard. Let me take a look at the statistics. Southern shot 35% today on 23 of 66 shooting, 3 of 14 from three-point land, 8 turnovers. I mean, that was the story of the game for Illinois. If you were going to pinpoint something that did not go well, they turned the ball over way too much, in particular in that first half. But, it's one of those, the play looks sloppy, but it's a 2 p.m. game on a Monday. And it's one of those where I was more like, I guess I could envision something like this happening. So I'm not exactly too shocked. I don't expect an A-plus performance against an opponent that you're 34-point favorites against on a Monday afternoon, when you're coming back from holidays. Now, maybe that's just me being a little too easy on the guys, but I've watched basketball a very, very long time, and I remember what it's like to be a college student. Sometimes this is the type of game that it's hard to get up for. And so that's why, despite it being Southern, in some sort of ways, I am still impressed that they happened to cover the spread today, looking as sloppy as they did. But again, I think kind of the theme of the story right now, or at least the theme of this team, and I guess we'll see Saturday when we play, I believe it's Penn State, 6 p.m. Central. Of course, your boy's going to be here right here for the live postgame. Is the defense getting fixed? Or is this just kind of a blip? Again, the Missouri performance was very impressive. This in itself was an impressive performance too. It's just the competition level wasn't all that high. But again, this Southern team took Washington to overtime. So it's not like they're all complete slouches. This team won 20-plus games last year, brought back a lot of the talent that they had from last year. They've got the same head coach. What's gone on? Why they're 4-9 now? I couldn't exactly tell you, but, I'm not going to sit here and say it's an impressive win. But Illinois got the job done. And sometimes that's enough, right? Like, you didn't want any slip-ups. If you only won this game by 15 points today, a lot of us, and I know this chat would be a lot more, busy talking about how worried you guys are for Big Ten season. I don't think a lot of people have those concerns right now. Now, granted, your next, 6 games? Is it 6 or 7 games? Are all winnable. And the minute you lose one of them, I know the panic is going to return. But you just got to play these games one at a time. And Illinois right now, in their stretch of 7 very winnable games, is 1-0. Let me know your guys' thoughts, and we'll get to more of my thoughts right after this. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with the long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I love being able to see my view from the seat before I buy, so I know exactly what I'm getting. And knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. You plan on going to Nashville for the Music City Bowl next week? Use Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Let's go over some of the player performances. I already mentioned Mirkovic and Keaton Wagler, who I think were I mean, I want to say the two best overall players on the team, but you had other guys who kind of stood out a little bit as well, right? Jake Davis. We had the Jake Davis game, which we've been waiting for all season long. He finished with 15 points on 5 of 6 shooting in 21 minutes. Zeros everywhere else, but it's okay. You know, when he's making 3-point shots like that, that's all you need. When you're playing against Big Ten teams, if all of a sudden Jake Davis is a threat to make the open shot, that spreads the floor open a little bit more for some of the playmakers on this basketball team. So it's nice to see Jake, see a couple shots go in particular when Big Ten season starts on Saturday. Speaking of shots that unfortunately did not go in, is a guy, Ben Hummerkaus. Ben Hummerkaus, for the last couple of games, I've been begging for him to shoot more shots. And today, it seemed like every shot he took, every time he touched the ball, he was ready to shoot. And today he finished just 1 of 6 from 3-point land. Not a great Ben Hummerkaus game, at least not on offense. He did have 6 rebounds, and he does the things that Ben Hummerkaus does on this team now, which is completely the opposite of what the expectations were a season ago. But, the dirty plays, the kind of role player plays. And Ben has certainly settled into his role player role. I'm not mad at him going 1 for 6 because there were open shots. My concern, I think, similar to Brad, is if Jake and Ben and some of the other shooters start taking shots that aren't wide open. You have to trust your skill and the players that you recruited, that if they take wide open shots, which is what this offense is built around, sometimes they go in, sometimes they do not. The other guy who really stood out today, and who I think, as the kids call, had the most aura today, was Big Z. Today was a good Big Z game. In 13 minutes, that's right, he only played 13 minutes today. He had the mask on, and I know a lot of people are asking where that came from. I mean, I'm not listening to the Brad Underwood postgame, right? Like, it's probably going on right now, and I'm live with you guys. But I think I do remember him getting hurt in the Missouri game and him complaining about his nose. So I wonder if that's kind of carried over. But back to Big Z. 13 minutes, he had 13 points, and he had 3 blocks. And you could tell Southern just wanted no part of him every time they got near that rim, and Big Z was there. And, the more and more the season progresses, the more and more the pressure is going to be. I wouldn't even say pressure, because I doubt Brad hears any of it. At least a fan base is going to be starting to question if we're starting the right Ivišić brother. Because this team, when Big Z is doing what Big Z does really well, and that's, again, deter shots down low, he can run the floor a little bit better, and of course, just the wide open 3-pointers. When he's hitting those wide open 3-pointers, this offense has just looked better. And Tommy, for all that he contributed to last year's team, he hasn't been the same player this year. Today, Tommy had 23 minutes. He had 11 points, 7 rebounds, and an assist. So, as I've discussed in every single postgame, the Zvonimir Ivišić, when you have 40 minutes of Ivišić's, today you had 36 minutes of Ivišić. You had 24 points, and you had 8 rebounds. Only 1 rebound for Big Z. Okay, that kind of surprises me a little bit. But again, 24 points and 8, that's an all Big Ten center. And the 4 blocks, Big Z had a block himself. See, that's an all Big Ten center. Tommy may not be living to the expectations that he had coming into this year. Big Z certainly exceeding them, at least in my opinion. But combined, I still say that Illinois continues to show they've got one of the, if not the best, center rotation in all of college basketball, maybe west of Storrs, Connecticut. Let's talk about some of the guys I know you're probably mentioning in the chat section, because they were talking about it in the Talk Illini Discord all day. We got to see some extended Mihailo Petrović and Brandon Lee run today. Mihailo ended up with 4 points, 9 minutes, 4 points, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers. Sounds like a typical Mihailo game. And Brandon Lee had 9 minutes. He had 5 points, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, and 1 turnover. I don't care about the box score. When it comes to these two players, I feel happy that they're on the floor, because I think, as good as Keaton and Kylan have been, that in order for the long term this team to reach its peak, we're going to need a third guard back there. And whether it is Brandon or whether it is Mihailo, they need to have more run. I think Brandon looked a little better today. Mihailo, unfortunately, because of foul clock, shot clock issues, had to force a couple threes, and at the end of the game, he really had nobody to pass to. That's why one of the reasons he's 1 for 3. He finally got a layup though, so shout out to Mihailo Petrović for finally hitting one of his layups. But this is one of those games where I don't think one player. I think Brandon Lee was probably a plus player, and Mihailo was probably just average, at least according to my eyesight. I haven't watched this game again. Quite honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this game again. I don't think you guys need a player grades episode for Illinois versus Southern. But let me know in the comment section if you do, because that's what I'll do. Because that's I say it's my show, but it's just as much as your guys' show. Team overall shot 51.7% from the field, 30 out of 58, 14 of 34 from three-point land, shooting 41%. And it looked like they were going to shoot higher than that. They kind of struggled in that second half. I think their first 5 shots in the second half were clanked three-pointers. But, it's a game where it didn't need to fall. You were just already clearly the better basketball team. They made 16 of 18 from the free throw line. And, when this team takes advantage of those cheap points from the free throw line, they're already so good at offense that's kind of all they need. And so, again, just a dominant performance. 45 rebounds for the Illini compared to 26 for Southern. We know it, right? We talk about this all the time. Brad Underwood in particular, he doesn't want to talk about anything else. You ask him about offense, he says, our offense is fine. You talk about defense, he's going to say, our defense stinks. Except for he'll find a role player that the fan base doesn't like, and he'll, for some reason, pinpoint that role player and be like, oh, yeah, that guy's the best defender on our team. But what Brad does want to talk about is rebounding. And that's, again, you take a look today on the offensive end. Illinois had 16 offensive rebounds, 29 defensive rebounds. And when Brad looks at the box score and he sees that, he's going to sleep peacefully tonight. He doesn't care about the 90 to 55. He knows that, when you have a team, and let's be honest, he's right in this case. This team was built for a bunch of shooters, three-point shooting, spacing. This team, unfortunately, the three-point shots aren't falling like they need to be. And yet, they're still, at least before this game, again, I don't know what the update is, they were second in the country when it comes to offensive efficiency. Why is that? It's because even if you don't have shooters, if you're grabbing offensive rebounds, which could lead to easier buckets, that makes your offense more efficient. That gives your points per possession a boost. And so, I know that's what he's going to be probably pointing out, 45 to 26 when he goes back in the locker room. That's what he's going to be talking about, almost doubling up your opponent when it comes to the rebounding and cleaning up the glass. That's what you want. That's probably what one of the main focuses was on this game, coming into this game. Because now, again, this is your last non-conference game. All right, there's no more tune-ups left. Okay, you have winnable games on the schedule, but you can lose all of those games. Okay, in the Big Ten, you just never know, especially when you're playing away. It's a strong enough confidence that on a bad day, you're more often than not could go home with a loss. And so today was the last really tune-up game. Again, to me, it's a waste of time, but it is what it is. Let me know, do you guys like these tune-up games or not? We'll get to some of your comments right after this. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 5 to 6:30 Central have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, let's get to some of your comments before I look at the rest of the schedule. SI Sportsman says Petrović looked awful. Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing with you. William says Petrović isn't there yet, not even close. William says Brandon Lee, though, looked like he belonged. And also says Ken. Ken also says at least Keaton got some rest today. By the way, shout out to Ken. It's Ken's birthday today. And Ken and I, we communicate frequently via email. He emails me at talkalign@gmail.com. And I love it when members of the community do that. So, Ken, I did want to give you a birthday shout out on the show. Sportsman says, I like Brandon Lee a lot. I think he could be really good. Yeah. See, I'm not disagreeing with you guys at all. Okay. I'm not. I agree. Like, I'm optimistic about Brandon Lee. In fact, despite frustrations of a lot of Illini fans, including a lot of other Petrović supporters, which I am, I said that I wasn't mad that Brad Underwood played Brandon Lee with 10 minutes left in that Missouri game instead of bringing Mihailo in. Because I think Brandon Lee has a future in this program, and he's the type of young kid, you want to show that you'll give some runtime and that you're going to let him play, and that he could be next in line for some big minutes next year. He's a developmental piece of this team. But when I think about what I saw today, okay, I'm just going to compare the stats real quick. I know Mihailo had the two turnovers today, but Brandon Lee himself also had one turn. So Brandon Lee had one turnover in 9 minutes, and Petrović had two turnovers in 9 minutes. Petro had 2 assists, and Brandon Lee also had 2 assists. Brandon Lee had the 3 rebounds, and he was definitely there. But to me, it's not much of a difference when I see the two. There's such different styles of play, so it's hard to it's hard for me to sit here and compare and contrast, because Brandon Lee, he has no ball usage, right? That's not his role. He's not dribbling it up court. There's no plays that are designed for him to run. He's basically usually standing in the corner or just trying to run to the spot that he's supposed to run and have someone throw it to him. Whereas Mihailo, when he's in the game, Mihailo's not a guy you throw in the corner. He has to have the ball. Like, that's his strong suit. He's a ball handler, and he's a pure point guard. And I've said this before, and my mind hasn't changed when it comes to being a pure pass first point guard. He's still the best version of that on this basketball team. And so his turnovers are going to be high. But he also had 2 assists, and one, which unfortunately Benim Hammerkaus missed. Well, as I mentioned before, he went 1 of 6 from 3-point land. It's a debate that I'm tired of saying, because it's just I talk about it every show, because that's what you guys want to kind of talk about. Does Mihailo stink or not? I'm still on the bandwagon that Mihailo would be starting for a lot of college basketball teams in this country, even a couple in this Big Ten conference. But like, the same way I describe Andrei Stojakovic, his style may not be the right fit for this team. And the fact that Mihailo's he's an adult, right? He comes into this game, he knows people are asking why he's not playing. You think he came in to play whatever 5-6 minutes a game? You think that's what he flew all the way over here from Europe for? Absolutely not. He's getting rung up in practice, right? Brad Underwood's probably in his ear about these turnovers. And he had a stretch of games where he simply just didn't play. So Mihailo knows, okay, every time I make a mistake, I'm not going to get on the court. And so from what I see is every time he's on the court, he's playing faster than he needs to, because he's so paranoid to show off his good skill set that it leads to the things that drive us all crazy. I don't want to, let me be honest. By the way, 61 people in here, hit the like button for the Illini winning, and give me an INI in the chat. I didn't call that out at the beginning of the show like I usually do. I'll be honest, I don't want to be right about this Mihailo thing. And I'll tell you why. Because I think the only way that my opinion on Mihailo can be confirmed this year is if he gets more minutes. And quite honestly, the only way that happens is if Keaton or Kylan get hurt. And so I don't want that to happen. Keaton and Kylan are so fantastic at what they do. But because of their skill level and the fact that they don't commit turnovers, the fact that they don't, the thing, you guys, Keaton is a freak when it comes to turnovers, his lack of turnovers. Like, this is not normal. So the fact that he is the starting point guard, and then we have a guy like Mihailo, who unfortunately is a lot like, Kasparis last year, right? Kasparis, in particular, in that second half, committed more turnovers than we wanted. But as I mentioned in the Talk Illini Discord, by the way, link is free. It's in the description. Join us. It's 300 of your fellow Illini fans. Today was a fun day in that game day channel. It's my opinion that Petrović, yes, he would have increased turnovers if he was starting for a different team, but he'd also be a potential top 3, top 4 assists in the conference type of player. He has that playmaking ability. Again, he finally got a shot to go in. The 2 shots that he was forced to take were just not great shots. Not his fault necessarily. Had a lot to do with the shot clock and situation and whatnot. But here I am. I'm sounding like a Mihailo sympathizer. I'm not. It's just my opinion. I just happen to disagree with some of you. Ken, of course, says happy birthday. SI says Lee is pretty stout for his size. Yeah, 6'4", 195. I said 6'4", 180 on the last show, but according to the Illini website now, he's 6'4", 195. He's gained 15 pounds since getting here on campus, which does not surprise me because thank you, Fletch. William says, per stats broadcast, Lee only had 2 assists. Felt like he had more. Yeah, but he also had arguably the play of the game, right? That alley-oop to Andrei Stojakovic, which, again, is just funny because Andrei Stojakovic plays nothing like his father. And yet, he's still an offensive weapon, but not at all in the sense of what his dad was like. Again, I watched his dad growing up. Like that Kings team was kind of, and the old guys in here can maybe confirm that Kings team that he played on with Weber, with Bibby, with Christie, they were like a prelude to what the NBA looks like today. Like during the slow times of the NBA where the final scores were like 92 to 88, those Kings teams were fun. And they're throwing up 105, 110 points per game, playing fast. You'd have Jason Williams throwing it behind his back. That was a fun, exciting team. And just to see the 2 Stojakovic's and how just contrasting their offensive style is makes me laugh. Speaking of Stoj, I think it's time to be honest with ourselves about Stoj. It feels crazy to say because Stoj is way better hooper than Hum, but I would rather see Hum out there. He spaces a 4 for us. It's not a crazy take. I mean, Stojakovic is clearly the better player, but the same thing I've talked about Mihailo, right? Stojakovic, his skill set doesn't necessarily align with the best version of this Illinois team, but you still need that skill set because this Illinois team doesn't always play like the best version of this Illinois team. Like, right? Sometimes when the shots aren't falling, they fell today, but when the shots aren't falling, you need a couple guys who can put their head down and attack the rim. And, you have that in Keaton, you have that in Kylan, and you have that in Andrei Stojakovic. And in my opinion, you have that in Mihailo. But, who knows? I'm going to let that one go. Jake from State Farm was out there living in his khakis today. Great shooting game for Jake Davis. You guys are absolutely right. Too many turnovers. Yeah. Polish their rust off. Thank you, William. Yeah, I knew I botched that. Illini Chief fans says today game was to work on their full court trap. Trap game was 35 and Keaton close to a triple-double. William says, I still get queasy when I see Merck trying to booty ball in the paint. Just seems like he either gets stops or throws it away 50% of the time. I mean, that's what I mean, right? Like, William, Merck is my favorite player on this team. I've been clear about that, right? But every time he dribbles, I think the joke was the over-under is like 4. If he dribbles more than 4 times, he's going to turn the ball over. Like, we know it. But he's allowed to work through that. I guess I keep going back to him. For Mihailo, it's just he doesn't give that chance. Every time he commits that turnover, it's different. William says, Sonny Brandon plays deep. Petrović, not so much. You're absolutely right in that Petrović stinks at defense. I'm going to sit in and defend that. Yeah, it is what it is. Again, I talked way too much about that. I liked Lee since I've seen him play in the exhibition game versus Illinois State. Yeah, he was an offensive microwave. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap that up here. I can't believe I talked 30 minutes about this Southern versus Illinois game, doing this solo, but I'm going to be doing the same exact thing tomorrow after what should be a lot more exciting game. And that's going to be, of course, Illinois versus Tennessee. Let me know your score predictions. Let's lock them in. in the comment section and lock it in. Maybe if someone guesses it right, I'll throw out a prize too on a future episode of Locked On Illini. But again, if you haven't already, join the Everydayers Club. You get access to ad-free episodes. You get access to a secret Discord. Or if you level up to the all access, you get all access to me. You can text me whenever you need. You can get private episodes where we just talk about, maybe I'll do more venting about this Mihailo Petrović, Brandon Lee situation, all that. Anyways, on your way out, please, if you don't mind, hit that like button. And until next time, ILL. Love you guys.